Oh, hi there. You've caught me wrist deep in my pumpkin. It's dirtier than it sounds. I'm just digging around because this seems like the right place to find something thematically appropriate for the holiday season. And hopefully, I think. Ugh. Oh, God. Happy Halloween, everyone! Or day after Halloween, or sometime following Halloween. I don't know when this video is going to be going up exactly. I really lost track of my days preparing and working on this one, and really only finished the script like the day I'm shooting this. So, you know, just know that I had every intention of getting this up on or as close to Halloween as I could.
Halloween is a weird time of the year for me. It's always felt like a gateway between the summer and Christmas seasons, and I've never been super into it. Costumes and candy are great, but it's just not my preferred holiday. But it turns out that my lovely wife is incredibly into the spooky season, so that always makes it more enjoyable.
The original idea for this video was to have like a Halloween party with me playing these games in the background and having this big crossover story involving a sexy vampire and vampire hunters and monsters, and it just didn't work out because the vampire economy really sucks right now. So instead, I'm going to be talking to you about what I have determined, and with help from the internet, the 3 worst Castlevania games.
Yes, I know there are much spookier games out there with jump scares, horror elements, and things that would make me scream so loud that Canada can hear me, but I really feel like the Castlevania series encapsulates the vibe of classic horror.
What is a man?
With monsters and castles and vampires and vampire hunters.
Quick spoiler, I've never played a Castlevania game before October of 2020 when I played Symphony of the Night and Aria of Sorrow back-to-back on stream. So my expectations are pretty high. Also, I'm a huge fan of the series from Netflix. Seriously, that is some good quality TV.
We got the original Castlevania over here in the United States for the NES in 1986, and since then, Castlevania has had most of its titles released in both regions. The theme that ties everything together is that you explore the depths of Dracula's castle as a vampire hunter of the Belmont clan, usually Simon Belmont, who's a descendant of a legendary vampire hunter on a quest to slay Dracula, who's apparently back again.
And it won't be the last time.
Castlevania is frequently ranked as one of Konami's most successful franchises, with several titles being ranked among the best video games ever made. Pretty big praise for a game about hunting Dracula down and slapping him in the face with your whip every couple of centuries.
So, let's dive right in and take a look at what the internet has rated as one of the worst Castlevania games of all time. Castlevania for the Nintendo 64.
Castlevania 64 was the first time the series went fully 3D. You take on the role of one of 2 protagonists, Carrie Fernandez, a ranged magic user, and Reinhard Schneider, our bread and butter whip guy. The story's pretty straightforward too. Find Dracula and stop him from returning to power after his most recent nap. It's got multiple story endings, a day and night cycle, and even exploding skeletons. And that's all fine and good, story is super important. But there's just one little thing that made me so beyond frustrated, no matter how far I got in the game.
When you die, it instantly restarts the stage. There are no checkpoints. I spent a total of 2 hours just replaying the first level over and over and over again. It took me 16 resets to get out of the first level. I gave up after that. There were platforms that just decided to slip out from underneath me whenever I would jump on them. Enemies would come out of nowhere to attack, and when you kill them, they just keep spawning. And then worst of all, there were no on-screen button prompts to tell me when I needed to interact with something. I'd run up to like a gate or a door or a tree or something, and I'd have no idea if I'm supposed to interact with it. There was nothing at all. How do you know if you're supposed to touch something?
I hate to be this salty early on because I just can't like this game. Maybe Carrie's a better choice. I mean, she has both magic and a melee attack, so that's got to be an easier time, right? No, it's literal hell.
I understand that some people find this game enjoyable. Good for you. I, however, don't. I never want to see this game again, so I won't. Okay, that's Castlevania 64 out of the way. I wonder what's next.
So yeah, Castlevania Chronicles. I wasn't expecting much, but I was pleasantly surprised when I booted it up. Chronicles is a port of a Japanese version of Castlevania released for the Sharp 68000 Japanese home computer. It's gotten new stages, redesigned stages, a better soundtrack, a new sub-weapon, and a harder difficulty, and was met with mixed to positive reviews. Chronicles, however, features an arranged mode with extra visual overhauls, a new sprite for Simon, selectable difficulty, and an altered soundtrack. Arranged mode is actually how I chose to play it.
I played Castlevania Chronicle for like 3 hours on stream the other night, and at the time, I was not a fan of it. And then afterwards, I may have compared it, rather unfavorably, to Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I'm a big enough man to admit that I was wrong.
To be fair, I really liked Symphony of the Night. It's a ton of fun. But later that week, I sat back down and played a few more hours of Chronicles. And you know what?
I actually managed to beat it, making it the first time I've ever completed a game based off the original Castlevania.
Please clap.
Turns out a game doesn't need intense story elements peppered throughout the world to make it a good game. You can just rely on good old-fashioned, fun, simple monster mashing. Speaking of monster mashing and bland story, I suppose all that's left is the worst of the worst. It's anime.
2008 was an interesting time to be a white rectangle. Mario Kart Wii, Smash Bros. Brawl, Animal Crossing City Folk, Wario Land Shake It, Lego Indiana Jones, and Wii Music all came to the Wii. And everything was fine and dandy. And then in Konami's infinite wisdom, they decided that there needed to be a second fighting game for the Wii. One with sexy vampires and even sexier vampire hunters. And it had to look like one of the most popular manga series of the time. Because nothing screams Castlevania fighting game like Light Yagami.
Oh, it looks like they actually put a Shinigami from Death Note in here. Oh, no, wait, that's Grant? From Castlevania 3? What have they done to you?
Aesthetics aside, I had a really fun time with Castlevania Judgment. I have no legitimate reason why I enjoyed it so much, except that it felt good to play. The matches were quick, the AI isn't horribly punishing, and the super attacks all feel relatively balanced. Sure, the story is pretty typical for a fighting game. Rival of Big Bad Dracula wants to change history to be on top, but Aeon, who is definitely not the time-traveling Saint-Germain, stops them by bringing together champions from different parts of history to choose one to destroy the Time Reaper, leading to overly repetitive fights for every character you unlock.
There's also an arcade mode, which is a huge breath of fresh air compared to the repetitive story mode. It's just room after room of challenges. It's not even fighting half the time. Like, some of the challenges are open 6 treasure chests, or destroy 30 torches, or activate the hazards on the stage. It is so refreshingly different. Some rooms let you unlock art pieces, some rooms let you unlock music tracks, and some rooms let you unlock little hats that you can put on your characters. Yes, you heard me right. You can put a little hat on Alucard and make him look like the most dapper gentleman in the world. Is it necessary? No. Do I love it? Oh yes.
You know, the internet told me that these were going to be some of the worst Castlevania games of all time. But for once, I think the internet lied to me. Sure, they aren't as good as games like Symphony of the Night or Aria of Sorrow, but each has their own merits, their own positives that outweigh their negatives. They may not all be winners, but they're part of what makes Castlevania the legendary franchise it's come to be known as, flaws and all.
I think that's enough Castlevania to last me for a while. So to wrap up Halloween, I'll say thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed Castlevania, and if you enjoy the games as much as I've learned to, well, we can just be that way together. And now I can focus on the next video, which is going to be on my favorite game of all time. This is going to be a huge passion project for me. There's going to be so much research and stuff that goes into it. I am so excited to talk about Golden...
You should consider yourself lucky to face me!
What do you mean there's another Stranger of Paradise DLC?